This video is sponsored by True Gold Republic, the precious metals experts. Talk to one of their experts today about diversifying your portfolio to help assure your future financial security. Find their contact information in the description below and pinned in our first comment. James Kaufman, World News Report today, July 5th, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had 16 earthquakes in the Cascadia Subduction zone over the last 2.5 days, and we really have seen a swarm of about 15 in the same area, all 4.0 magnitudes or higher, with one very small quake down here at 2.7 at 15.8 kilometers. Our main worry here is the swarm on the Pacific Juan de Fuca plate boundary here. In this area here, the USGS records a total of 15 earthquakes, although volcanoesandearthquakes.com records 16 earthquakes. They show one extra earthquake that's being reported by the Europeans and the Germans. Now, we've just had an earthquake with a tsunami warning, and I'd like to get into that. Everything in orange here happened today. This is the 5.0. It's also been rated a 5.2 and a 5.3 by other agencies. There's an associated tsunami warning with it. Just today, we've had 3 additional quakes in this area, as you can see. And again, these are on what's called the Juan de Fuca plate that's being pushed under the North American plate by the Pacific plate. And we call this the Cascadia Subduction zone, one of the most dangerous subduction zones on the planet. Why it's so dangerous is why the Juan de Fuca plate seen here is being pushed under the North American plate. It's forcing magma to the surface, and this is a volcanic range known as the Cascadia Volcanic Range or Mountain Range. We have Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, Mount Hood, and many others. Glacier Peak. We even have the Olympic Mountains here that also have a large volcano, Mount Olympic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at what the Cascadia Subduction Zone actually is. Again, as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Juan de Fuca plate here, caught in between the Pacific and the North American plate here. It's being pushed under or subsiding under the North American plate. You can see it's pushing magma to the surface of the Cascadia Volcanic or Cascadia mountain range here, and obviously this can cause large volcanic eruptions. I'd also like to mention that, in fact, we have our second tsunami in as many days. 2 tsunamis in 2 days. Although they're not very large, they're definitely putting a buoy in the area in event mode, and we will go over that as well. Headed over to volcanoesandearthquakes.com, we will zoom in and take a look at the situation. These have all popped off today. We have 5 new earthquakes added to this swarm, if you will. And believe it or not, this one's been called a 5.0 by the USGS. It's been called a 5.3 by Canada. And we're going to take a look at that quake specifically. Today, we've also had a 4.4 here, a 4.7 here, a 4.4 here, and right on the Pacific plate boundary here, we have a 4.5. But we're most interested in the 5.3, also called a 5.0 by the USGS, because it has an associated tsunami warning. So we have Canada calling it a 5.3, the USGS calling it a 5.0, Germany here calling it a 5.2. So the default depth of 10 kilometers, which means they can't specify how deep the actual earthquake was. That quake at volcanodiscovery.com is called a strong magnitude 5.3 earthquake. And we can see that it is 258 kilometers south-southwest of Port Hardy, British Columbia, again being reported by the Canadian government on the weekend. Again, I didn't think they worked on the weekend, but I guess I was incorrect. That was 2 hours ago plus. Again, the swarm started about 50 hours ago, so about 2.5 days ago. This is some earthquake details here. A 5.3 primary data source is going to be your Canadian government here. Endeavour Ridge is the nearest volcano, right where all this swarm activity is occurring. And it looks like 1,344 tons of TNT were released by this earthquake. Taking a look and comparing quake data from the different modeling agencies, we see the Canadian government came in at a 5.3, default depth of 10 kilometers, followed by Germany coming in at a 5.2, default depth 10 kilometers. And what happened there? We have the Europeans coming in at a 5.0, default depth. We also have the International Research Association on Seismology coming in at a 5.0. The USGS has a 5.0, and the Australians have it as a 5.2. So it looks like it was closer to a 5.2. Hard to say here. A depth of 10 kilometers often means that the quake could not be determined, or the depth of the quake cannot be determined with sufficient accuracy. Headed over to the National Data Buoy Center, we have one of the buoys in event mode 46419. And we will take a look at that event in detail right now. You can see it's right where that tsunami warning was issued. So there was a small tsunami created. Let's see how large it was. The last one that was created yesterday was only about 6 inches, although that could mean big waves hitting the coast there. Now, even though we see a tsunami warning on the 5.0, 5.2, 5.3, whatever it may be, and we have a buoy in event mode, this looks like the tsunami from yesterday. So the buoy is still in event mode or flashing because of yesterday's tsunami warning. We had a 5.7 magnitude earthquake. How do I know? Well, I'm looking at the date right here. And I remember what the event looked like. It was about 6 inches total. So I guess it was just a tsunami warning today with a 5.0, 5.2, 5.3, and there was no tsunami created after all. So with that said, tsunami warning, no tsunami created, a 5.0 according to the USGS, a 5.3 according to Canada, 5.2 according to the Australians and Germany. Let's see what today only looks like. This is the swarm that's been ongoing for about 2.5 days here. And again, we have a small little quake down here. That doesn't mean very much to us. We're going to take a look at just today's quakes that added to the swarm here. And there they are right there, the 5.0, the 4.4, and the 4.0. So, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have some movement here, and the Juan de Fuca plate is being pushed very hard here by the Pacific plate, and that pushes it under all these volcanic mountains, including the volcanic ranges here in British Columbia. So, I want y'all to be aware of what's going on here, and, well, it looks like more activity than I've seen in the many years I've been reporting the Cascadia Subduction zone. So y'all be careful out there, and I'll keep my eyes on this situation for y'all and keep you updated. God bless. Please share. Please subscribe. Always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World. God bless.